Hello my friends, this is Post-Production Pie with srlounge.com. Welcome to the Lightroom 4 preset system version 1.3 update video. In this video we're going to be going through everything new with the 1.3 update, which is quite extensive and I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. Now of course this update is free for all existing Lightroom 4 preset system users. You all should have received an email with your update link. Be sure to check your spam and your trash folders. If you haven't received it, shoot us an email at contact@srlounge. Help us out by either including the original purchase confirmation email or the actual invoice number from that email so we can look it up and expedite getting you the update. Now before we get started, I wanted to give a big shout out to Stefan Daniel Schwartz of Schwartz Photography. You can see his work at schwartz-photography.de. Stefan is actually one of our community developers for the Lightroom 4 preset system. He's found a lot of great fixes in the Lightroom 4 preset system, minor bugs here and there. And in addition, most of the organizational changes that you're going to see are actually because of his suggestions and his and kind of the way he's organized his own Lightroom 4 preset system. So big kudos to him and big thanks for all the support. And if you guys have suggestions, we've gotten a lot of great suggestions from the community. If you do have suggestions, be sure to email us at contact@srlounge or just go onto the forum and under the Lightroom 4 preset system, you can place your suggestions there. We also got another great tip from Moira Robertson. We're going to include that as well. And let's go on and talk through the update. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is the organizational structure. And this is what we're talking about. This has changed based on that suggestion from Stefan. What we've done is basically taken the My Mixology and we've broken out everything into their own individual folders. So all the subcategories, soft portrait, vivid landscape, standard color, all the way through the base adjustments for each category of base adjustments now have their own preset folder. Now looking at this, it might look a little bit complex, but it's actually a really great change. And here's the reason why. If you're, say, working on portraits, then you can have the My Mixology soft portrait window open, and you can also keep open, say, exposure and maybe your detail base adjustments, and have all these at the ready. So you can basically click, extra soft color. You can dial up the brightness by a little bit, and then add, maybe we want light softening instead of heavy softening or whatever you want to do. You can make multiple adjustments without basically having to scroll down through this massive list. So it's a great way to basically make these quick adjustments and be able to have these different presets available to you in one single window without having to scroll. We did end up keeping all the curves, color toning, and special effects all within their standard folders. Nothing's changed there, simply because when you're choosing a curve, generally you want to have all the curves available to you and visible within a specific kind of color toning set. So it made more sense to keep all of these together as opposed to breaking those apart. Going up to the top, let's go through some of the naming changes. So we've made sure that every single preset now has a unique name. And the reason for this was that what we were finding was that we had some users that were basically saying that, if you use the history panel, it's very difficult to see exactly which preset does what, because you might have a preset that just says soft portrait, or you might have one that just says standard color, and you don't know exactly which one it is. So what we've done is we basically went through the entire system, revised the names just a bit so each preset has a unique name. And now with like the soft portraits, we have SP in front of each of the presets. Vivid landscape, we have VL in front of each of the presets. With stylized color, we have SC and so on. So basically each of these mixology folders, we've just taken the initials and placed it right in front of the preset. That way when you click on whatever order, whatever we're doing here, we can go back to our history panel after a few clicks and we can see exactly which one each of these are. So we know vintage fade with a neutral fade, soft portrait with standard color, soft portrait extra soft black and white, and we can go back in the history states very easily. Don't worry though, these changes aren't so significant that you won't be able to follow previous videos. They're very minor changes in names. Previous videos, they might have slightly different names, but you'll still be able to follow along just fine. All right, moving on, we've made some minor tweaks and fixed some little bugs in the base adjustments all the way through our special effects. Mainly as far as naming consistency, before we had basically exposure darken -1.5 all the way up to 2.5. Now we've just adjusted it to -2 to +2, so it makes a little more sense. Modified names just for consistency's sake and so forth. All right, let's go up to My Mixology and let's talk about what we've done with the mixologies as far as modifications. Now with all the mixologies, we got a tip from Moira Robertson. He basically mentioned that he loves the system, but that the camera calibration is actually enabled in all the mixology presets. Now, Moira is actually the first photographer to let us know that he's using the camera calibration presets in his own way. And that's kind of funny because this is the first time we've heard of that, but he's actually right. We actually did have this enabled. So basically when you're selecting presets, it was adjusting the camera profile back to Adobe standard. Now, for most everybody using the preset system, that's fine because by default, we're typically using Adobe Standard. But for those that are going for specific camera profiles and want to keep those profiles as shot in camera, then this was kind of an annoying thing to deal with. So what we've done was we modified every single mixology from standard import all the way through toy camera, and all the presets we just verified just to make sure that nothing is going to be affecting the actual camera calibration profile. So now when we're selecting them, if you have a different preset selected, for example, if we have camera landscape selected and we reset, then it's not going to change the profile. Same thing if we go to standard color or standard black and white. Again, it's not going to change that profile. The only thing that will change is if you click on the full reset, it's going to zero everything out, go back to Lightroom defaults. This will actually change the profile. In addition, it resets everything back to 0. All the other ones, for those that basically use the standard profile, it's not going to make a single bit of difference because you never change it to begin with. For those of you that do use camera profiles, well, it won't be as annoying because presets will not change that profile. All right, now moving on to soft portraits, let's go through this category. You can see that we've added quite a few presets in this category. We've added actually 6. So basically what we've done is we've noticed that for, say, close-ups or infant photography or close-up portraits, we've noticed that skin tones with the standard color can still be just a little bit too much. Basically, it can be still a little bit saturated. We're not doing enough smoothing with these really close-up portraits. So we created an extra soft portrait preset, and what this does is it does an additional amount of softening. In addition, it adjusts the HSL for skin tones. So basically we get more natural and neutral skin tones when we're using this as opposed to standard color. Now the soft portrait standard color is still brilliant to use on shots that are slightly more pulled back, that involve more in the environment, but on these close-up shots, you're better off using extra soft color, or on infant photography with extra soft color. So that's a nice thing there. I'm going to give you a couple examples of it. So here is the standard shot right here. Here's the standard color preset. And it does a really nice job of smoothing things out, but you can still see, particularly in certain areas of the hair, where we get reflections from her hair on her skin. Sorry, I think I said, did I say air? I don't know what I said. In certain areas of her skin, basically, we have these kind of overly vibrant areas where we can see too much orange. In the shadows, we see kind of more reds, and underneath we can see a little bit more saturation in the neck and stuff. So when I click extra soft color, you're going to notice that the skin tones kind of become a little bit more neutral, it becomes a little bit softer, and overall it's just a little bit better for these close-up portrait type images. Let's go show you another one. Here's another example. So here's the standard color. And again, it does a great job, but underneath the cheek, we can still see a little bit too much red, particularly along the lines. Same thing here. We have little dimples and we have these little red spots in these areas. So the extra soft is just going to do a better job of kind of smoothing that out and bringing out or lifting out that additional vibrance in the skin tones. Again, another great shot are these close-up portraits. So in this portrait, she already has very tan skin to begin with, and so we have a little bit of oversaturation in the skin. Extra soft color is going to really do a good job of kind of lifting that out, making more natural skin tones. All right, we've also included the extra soft black and white, which is the same thing, just converted to black and white as well. All right, now from here we added a new section of HDR presets to our soft portrait grouping. The reason for this was that we did a lot of tutorials where basically we were applying vivid landscape, HDR max or HDR strong. We were applying these to our photos, and it created great effect, but we'd have to lift out a lot of that kind of saturation and clarity bump because it became too crunchy, particularly over skin tones. So we created basically a set of faux HDR presets for the actual, for actual soft portraits, and we use them particularly on what we refer to as environmental portraits, on shots that are more pulled back, that kind of feature more the environment. We definitely would not use these on close-up shots, by the way. All right, so let's, for example, select HDR Max here. You can see how it's going to kind of decrunchify the overall look. I just made up a new word. I'm going to have a Pi dictionary after we're done with this. So we have a nice natural, it's just kind of a more natural look for our portrait images, whereas for landscapes and for more vivid images, you might want that more crunchy, strong look that the Vivid Landscape HDR Max or HDR Strong would give you. All right, we've also made these uniform as far as light, strong, max on both sides. Lights are going to basically be from -60 all the way to +60, strongs to 80, and then we've adjusted max to actually be the strongest one where it's going to bring out the maximum possible boost in dynamic range. Now for a shot like this, we still have another preset. We added one preset for light unenhanced HDR skin. And generally you're using this when the skin tones are close to where you want it, but just still a little bit too saturated or still a little bit too HDR-y. And you're gonna apply this. The heavy one is gonna be when skin tones are kind of way too far gone. All right, so heavy used in this situation would kind of create too strong of an effect, and that's why we created the light preset as well. So you have two adjustments that you can use depending on how much you need to basically soften and reduce any HDR effect over skin tones. All right, so this looks great right here. What I would do for this image is just take our graduated filter. Once again, we're gonna switch to Sky, Cloud, Ocean, and I'm gonna just drop this over our sky all the way down to the horizon line, and then just pull it down a bit in exposure. So we just kind of darken it up a little bit, get a little bit more detail. I'm not going to go too far because I don't want it to be too unnatural, but just get a little bit more detail in the sky and everything like that. And we get a really nice, vivid but natural looking HDR image with this type of preset and this look. Okay, so that's what we've added to basically the soft portrait category. Vivid landscape has stayed the same for the most part, with just some minor adjustments to basically the light strong max just to make them consistent and in line with the light strong max of the soft portrait category. All right, so that's it as far as the new developed presets. Let's show you one additional thing. We have added some export presets just based on kind of our favorite and most commonly used export presets. We've gotten quite a few suggestions for this, and so we thought we'd include it. Now in the Lightroom 4 preset system, you have 00LR4 preset system export presets, one for print sized, one for slideshow, which is 1080p slideshow images, and one for web, blog, and email. Now basically we were getting questions on what are the best settings for Facebook and for blogging and for email and all that. This is that standard preset that we use for all three basically. All right, so you have now your Facebook preset for exporting. All right, so that is included as well, guys, and that's it for our Lightroom 4 preset system 1.3 update. We hope you guys enjoy, and again, if you guys have any suggestions, be sure to join up in the forums, let us know. We're dedicated to making sure that the SR Lounge Lightroom 4 preset system remains the most powerful and standard in Lightroom 4 presets. All right, guys, we'll see you all in the next video.